Hello, and welcome to Beyond the Finish Line, the podcast for runners, triathletes, and anyone chasing big fitness goals on and off the race course. I'm Georgia, and I'm a 4-time marathon runner and a content creator. And here with me is my amazing co-host, Matt, also known as Coach Matt. Matt is a 5-time Ironman endurance athlete, coach, and a business owner. Welcome to episode 22. How are you, Matt?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's nice to talk to you.
Yeah, it's probably the longest we haven't spoke for.
Well, probably since I went away.
Yeah, legit.
Yeah, no, I've just for you guys listening, Matt and I actually haven't spoken about anything that's happened in his life this week. I have completely just left him alone.
Yeah, I was probably not really capable of coherent thought early in the week. I know the goal was to do the podcast Monday, like fresh off the Ironman, but I'm glad we decided against that.
Yeah, me too. I just enjoy Cairns, enjoy recovery. Let's not talk about it. So we are going to dive into Matt's recap of his amazing Ironman up in Cairns. But yeah, I haven't spoken to Matt about any of this, so I'm hearing it all for the first time, just as you guys are.
Yeah, it's been a wild 6 months, but yeah, a really hectic week leading into Cairns. A lot of emotions, a bit of a roller coaster. So yeah, it was definitely an interesting week to say the least.
Yeah. So usually, guys, we do a my week and Matt's week, highs and lows. But my week was pretty boring. I had a long run. No one wants to hear about what I've done. So how was your week, Matt? I know last time we spoke on the pod, you talked about coming into Cairns Airport. It was all kind of set up and stuff. But do you want to tell everyone who's listening what happened to you about 3 days out from the race?
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't follow me on Instagram, on Thursday morning? Yeah, Thursday morning, got hit by a car, which was while riding my bike, which was less than ideal in terms of preparation.
Less than ideal, just gets hit by a car.
Yeah. Yeah, so I got cleaned up going through a roundabout. Somehow, I said on Instagram, I don't know if blessed is the right word, but like I had such minimal damage to me, a bit of skin off my back, big old bruise, like a bone bruise on my hip, and the bike needed one small part replaced, and that was it. So
yeah, it was one of those things. Like I was standing in my kitchen and Nick was like, holy shit, Matt's been like hit by a car, and of course doesn't give me any context, just full jumps into it because he's seen it on social media, and I'm like, I'm gonna vomit, what is going on, is he okay? And he's like, no, he's fine. Obviously you were posting on socials. Yeah. But yeah, so you were going through the roundabout, and was it a white Toyota Camry? Is that right? Yeah, cleans you up. So how does that even happen? How did he not, like, did you say he didn't stop?
Yeah, it did a hit and run. Just like a car went, and then me and my mate Dylan, we were both riding probably 3 seconds behind the car in front of us. Like we indicated, did the whole thing. And he just tried to punch the gap in between the car and us, and took me out instead. So yeah, thankfully, like the way it hit and where it hit, like it must have been the perfect position, the perfect hit, like because I basically got straight up, my bike slid out of the way, and the way he drove through, if I had have been in like a slightly different position, he would have either rode over me or rode over the bike. So we just sort of slid straight out of the way. He went straight through. He took off, hit and run. Yeah, but that was Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, so lucky that another car didn't clean you up as well as you're sliding across the road. I mean, it's just insane.
It was like peak hour traffic too. So like it's very stop start. So like, yeah, maybe if it was later in the day and there was like, it was a little bit more open, there was a good chance like another car might have got me. But also Cairns Ironman week, there's so many bikes kicking around. This is my 3rd year at Cairns. I've never seen or heard of an issue with a car the whole time. So everyone's pretty good about just like letting the guys do their thing, because we do bring so much money to the town or to the city for like that week. So
Yeah, of
I think
course.
Cairns mayor said we bring in like 9 weeks of GDP in the space of 4 days. So
Wow.
we they're pretty lenient for, or not lenient, like we're not doing anything wrong, but like they are accommodating of our riding.
Yeah, I mean, you'd hope so, because I guess the town, as you said, would be filled with bike riders and
Yep.
people running around. But I don't know, maybe
Yeah, there's 3,000 Ironman athletes like that week.
that's insane. That is absolutely crazy. I can't believe nobody caught it on a dash cam or something to be able to report it to the police.
So one fella like tried to catch up to old mate, but he couldn't find him. I said white Toyota Camry in a city, pretty hard to find. We did
Needle in
file
a haystack.
yeah, exactly. We did file a police report because there's some apartment buildings sort of in and around that have CCTV. But
Yeah.
they said they'll do their best. But I'm not going to hold my breath on it.
I was going to say, you're probably never going to hear back from them, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. So
Right.
yeah, it
so
just is what it is.
you have been hit by a car, and on socials you said you were doing okay, but I just heard you say you had a bone bruise. What's the extent of that?
Just like basically my whole right hip is just black. Like yeah, so like it could have been a lot worse, and like just walking around it was like it's just uncomfortable, but then obviously like we'll get into it, but towards the end of the Ironman it was like pretty significant pain. So
Oh my God.
yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Put on a brave face for social. Like I didn't want there to be any excuses or anything. I was just like,
Yeah.
my eyes were on the prize.
Yeah, I was going to say, you very much were giving out, like, there's nothing's going to stop me at this point. So no one was really worried.
Yeah, I got hit by a freaking car and just walked away. So I was like, I feel pretty invincible right now.
Yeah. Should have gone and bought a lottery ticket. Like, it's
I know,
absolutely
right? Bloody hell.
crazy. Oh, I was freaking out. How is Sam? Was she okay? Was she freaking out or she was all right?
Yeah, she was more panicked than me. Sam has it's not unusual for me to call Sam and be like, okay, don't panic.
The worst words ever.
Yeah, so this isn't an unusual conversation for Sam and I, that I've done something stupid or I've got myself into a predicament. So, yeah, she was panicked, but she calmed down pretty quick. So
She's a saint. She is a saint.
she got to change her annual leave to like carer's leave or something, so that's good.
Oh.
Because she told her boss, she's like, my partner got hit by a car in Cairns, I gotta go.
Yes. Not that I think Sam's boss will be listening, but also
No.
you actually did get hit by a car, so she wasn't lying.
Yeah, no, it's like she didn't do anything dodgy. It's just funny that she was like, that's one thing she mentioned. She's like, well, that's a positive. I got to change my leave, so I got more holidays.
Great, perfect. You're probably going to need a holiday after all of this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, cool. So you've been hit by a car. You've got 3 days to recover. What's going through your head? What are you doing? What are you like? What's happening in the lead up to the race?
Honestly, like, it was just kind of, as weird as this sounds, kind of water off a duck's back. Like, I was just so locked in, so just ready to go. Nothing really phased me. I was just like, the only panic situation was like making sure the bike was all good, because obviously no bike, no race.
Of course, and a very expensive bike at that.
It's a very expensive bike. It's a very unique bike too. Like, it's a Cervelo, so it's a European bike. So not all bike shops have all parts for it.
Yeah.
There was a Cervelo dealer in town, which is not unusual, but he had my exact bike in stock, and he had some parts for my bike, and I needed what's called a hanger, which is just a very, very small piece. Every bike has a hanger, but a very, very small piece, and I was like, fuck, like, what's the chances that he has this piece? Walked in, he had the exact piece I needed. There was no bike. Ironman week 2, trying to get into a bike shop is near impossible, because handling, like, bikes are flying in everywhere, things are breaking everywhere. He had no bikes on the rack. He literally picked it up, put it on, bang, 20 minutes, and it was like $100.
Oh my gosh.
So
I mean, I can imagine how much money that bike shop would make in the space of 4 days, just of people coming
printing
in.
money. Yeah, printing money. And you could realistically, not that they do, they're normally all pretty good, but like, you could charge whatever you want.
Yeah. Oh gosh. And I wonder are there many accidents? Like, I feel like that's, with so many more bike riders in town, there'd be more things like this happening.
Yeah, like I said, like my third year in Cairns, I've never heard of anyone being. That doesn't mean it hasn't happened, but like I've never
No.
heard of anyone being cleaned up. I've never seen anything happen. Like I feel like everyone's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like for that, just for that week. I don't know what it's like outside of that, but for that Ironman week, I feel like everyone's pretty accommodating.
Yeah, that's my biggest fear with riding a bike on the road like that. Like, I used to ride a bike in London and I've ridden and stuff around Sydney, but it's just, I don't know, it freaks me out.
I think riding the Lime bikes and stuff like that is very, very different to riding like a road bike and sharing the road. Like if you're just cruising around on the footpath, it's okay, but
Oh yeah, that's fine. But
yeah,
just,
like
yeah.
I'd never ride my bike like in Sydney, for example. Like I don't know how people do that. But
I know, I used to ride to and from work, but it was only it was probably like 4 suburbs across, and it was not too bad. But I remember this one time some Uber driver like abused me for being too slow, and he wound down the window. I was so stupid, and I like yelled at him through the window. But after that, I never ride on a road again.
yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay, cool. So, how did all the drop go when you were, day before the race? You had to drop off your bike and had to drop off all your stuff.
Yeah,
How are you
honestly,
feeling?
everything was great. Like I had a videographer come in for this race, which was really cool. And so Jimmy came in Saturday morning, and honestly, like it was. If I did it again, I'd probably get him in on Friday, just because it was a little bit rushed. But he was like, "Yep, we're gonna go get these shots. Go over here, drop this off, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Cool." So I just had other stuff to think about. Like
Yeah.
I just wasn't even thinking about the race. Just packed my gear and we shot some cool footage and then yeah, the day went like that. So honestly, like I said, water off a duck's back in terms like nothing was phasing me. Everything was perfect preparation. Slept fantastic. All my nutrition went to plan. Carb load went to plan. Everything was just down to the T as my best preparation ever.
Okay. And so the morning of, run us through, what time did you have to wake up for this?
So we actually had quite a late start. It's what they call a pro series race. So it's just it's on YouTube and TV and everything. Not all of the Ironman races are televised. So
Yeah.
they have to do like all the intros for the pros and all sorts of stuff. So I got up at just before 5 and we hit the water at just after 7:30 around then.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not too bad. In previous years, sometimes you've got to get up sort of 3:30, 4 o'clock because you're starting at 6:30. But yeah, so pretty chill. Wake up, brekkie, go down and we go down, do bike check, put all your bottles and everything onto the bike, all your nutrition for the day. Go back, have second breakfast, have another cup of coffee, and then we're pretty fortunate. So we've got it sussed out for Cairns. If you guys don't remember the other episode, we spoke about it. The start area is in Palm Cove. Finish line is in Cairns. It's the only Ironman that does that. So we stay up in Palm Cove the night before. So like when you wake up, you're right on the swim start. You've got all your gear. You don't have to like get Ironman to do shuttles in the morning. You don't have to get up at stupid o'clock to get a shuttle up there, carry all the stuff in a backpack. Like it's just way better. So we just hung out in the room. We're just chatting, watching some YouTube, and then walked down to the swim start when we were ready to go.
Yeah, cool. And what was the weather like? Because I saw a few things on socials that the water was pretty choppy. Is that freaking you out?
Not freaking me out. The weather was Cairns is pretty well renowned for like the wind picking up sort of around lunchtime.
Yeah.
That being said, like on the weekend, it was just windy from the moment we got up, and yeah, really, really choppy swim, really rough swim, which wasn't. It's just not my strength. I'm a good swimmer, but I don't get a lot of open water swimming based on where I live. And I definitely don't get a lot of open water swim in the chop. So I was actually able to watch in real time good swimmers change their stroke to deal with different waves and where they were on the course. So like if they're swimming with the current, their stroke changed. If they're swimming against the current, stroke changed. I just got flogged for an hour and 20 minutes. I don't have those tools in my tool belt. So the swim was really, really tough, but I'm super happy that I was able to keep composed, and I came out of the swim. It took me an hour 20.
What were you hoping for in the swim? What was best case or worst case scenario?
Best case was like 60 minutes flat, and worst case was 65. So I swam an hour 7 last year, just for context. And this year I was significantly fitter, significantly better swimmer, done way more swim volume, done everything right for the swim. But yeah, I just it's just something it's not practical for me to get enough experience in open water. Like it's an hour drive there. You swim, like you sort of lose 3 or 4 hours just to do a swim workout. So it's something I do need to address, but it's like you can only address so many things.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have everything perfectly simulated for a race, but I guess, getting a couple more open waters would probably...
And historically, the Palm Cove has been, like I said, like I swam an hour 7 last year. It was like swimming like on a lake, like it was glass. So
it's a cove, right? So it should be pretty like wind free.
Yeah, so I was kind of I don't want to say banking, because like you never want to like rely on something, but I was like, historically, this is what it has been. Like there is a good chance that it'll be that again.
Yeah, definitely. And so what did you say you finished in an hour and 20?
Yeah.
Hour and 20. I did see a few things on socials. I was having a look last night just on other people's like races, and everyone was saying like the swim took me longer. So I think it just affected everyone.
Yeah, it did, yeah. And like I got out of the water with, so like they do this similar to a marathon. They do the swim in waves based on your skill level or based on how you predict you will finish. And we have different coloured swim caps, so it's easy for lifeguards to identify strong swimmers, weaker swimmers.
Oh, okay.
Even though I swam an hour 20, like I got out with a lot of the same colour swim. So the first wave is like a pearly pink style swim cap. I got out with heaps of pink caps, so it's not like I just got dropped and left behind. Like there was the majority of people were in the same boat. Only the really, really good swimmers or like good open water swimmers probably excelled in that.
Yeah, they're probably like living for the waves. Like, this is my time to shine.
Yeah.
That would give you a bit more confidence, I guess, getting out of the water, knowing, you're up there with a few of the people who, with the different coloured caps. At least you're going, okay, well, they struggled, I struggled, everyone's in the same kind of boat.
Yes and no. Like, yes, like I knew everyone was getting flogged. You can just see it like as you're swimming. Like when you're swimming that slow, you actually have quite a lot of time to sort of like look around. But on the other hand, like you're also coming out like, okay, 15 minutes down on my worst case scenario for sub 10. At that point, the part of my brain was like, okay, like that's dead in the water. Like good luck trying to make up 15 minutes over the course of an Ironman. And then the other part of me was like, just try and swim as efficiently as possible. Don't burn any matches. Try and keep your energy, like save as much energy as you can. So the fact I was able to make tactical decisions during the race and then stick to that, really, really good. The fact that I didn't like get flustered or like lose my composure, because it would have been really, really easy to come out of that water and just sprint full clip, get on the bike and ride as hard as I could for as long as I could to try and make up the time. But keeping composure and like just sticking to the plan, understanding Ironman is such a long day. Like they're all significant progressions in my athlete career.
Yeah, and I think, as you said, the 105 or 65 minutes was your worst case scenario. I think, was it hard? Did you struggle with going, okay, well, that was my worst case scenario, and now I would have to do everything better than best case scenario? How was that for you in terms of your mindset? Was that something you had prepared for? What's going through your head?
It definitely wasn't something I prepared for. Because I had done
bad choice of words there. Clearly,
yeah, no, I know what you mean. Because I had done so much work on the swim. Like I'd been relentless with my swim training, and I really wanted to get the race off to a good start.
Yeah.
That being said, in previous years, I would have got out of that water 15 minutes down on, or whatever this case would be, and I just would have self-destructed, like mentally. I just would have talked myself out of it. I would have still gone through and finished the race, but like I would have just been gone mentally.
Checked out for sure.
Yeah, and what I was really, really, and anyone who's followed along on social media would know, like my real goals outside of the sub 10 were I wanted to race from start to finish. I wanted to be in the race, stay in the fight, and do that. And I was really, really impressed with myself and really proud of myself that of 15 minutes down on worst case scenario, like we had spent months planning this, doing different numbers, different tests. Like Ironman's very, like Georgia knows how good I am at predicting times and things. Like I'm very rarely out by more than a minute. So to be out by 15, no fault of my own in terms of like training and whatnot. It was just the day and the weather. My ability to go, okay, that's done. Focus on the bike. All you got to do is ride the bike and stick to your plan on the bike, and then let the rest sort it out. Like that was like a split-second decision. It wasn't like a 5-minute self-conversation. It was just by the time I'd come out of the water, there's about a 200-meter run, grab your bike gear bag, go into the change tents, bike out. By the time I'd grabbed my bike gear bag, like that decision was made, and I was just 100% calm, at peace, just good to go. So like I said, like in terms of my mental strength and mental fortitude throughout that, like super, super happy. My ability to keep composure, all of those things, very, very happy.
Definitely. I think most people would throw in the towel at that point because their goal is completely out the window. And so
100%.
You're 15 minutes down. At this point, are you trying to make up time, or you're kind of in your head going, you know what, my sub 10's gone, but that's okay. I'm going to try and go for the best time I can possibly get?
No, Ironman's such a long day. Like it's very, very hard to, and again, mistakes I have made in the past. You can't go out trying to make up time because you'll just burn out. Like you can't push the way, like it's not like a half marathon or something where you might be like the last 5Ks I'm just going to drop the hammer. It's like you've got to stick to your numbers. If you don't stick to your numbers, like if you get tired at hour 7 and you've got a 12-hour day, it's a long time to be tired. So like, you've just got to stick to your plan. So it was just stick to the plan, trust the process, and I kind of, there was a part of me, and I didn't really know what the wind was going to do on the bike, but I was like, oh, if I ride okay, like I know I'm a good runner. I know I can run home strong. Like I might not get sub 10, but like I might be able to run in a really, really good performance. So that's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, just stick to the plan on the bike, and then let your legs do the work on the run.
Okay. So you cruise through T1. I know, listen to me, guys. I'm an Ironman. Then you jumped on the bike. Tell us about the bike course. It is 180 Ks?
Yep, 180 Ks. That's standard Ironman.
That is
course.
wild.
I think Strava gave me like 179.6 or something, but that's okay. I'm not
Strava.
fucking Strava. I think it is the best bike course in Australia. I think it's unreal. There's like heaps of big climbs, big like uphills, obviously long downhills. You ride along the coast the whole way. Basically ride from Palm Cove to Port Douglas, back to Palm Cove, back to Port Douglas, and then you ride all the way into Cairns. Yeah, it's a long way.
It's a long way when you put it that way.
Yeah, but when you do the turnaround at Port Douglas, historically you get hit with a headwind all the way into Cairns. Normally it doesn't pick up until the second lap, but obviously the weather this year really, really rough. So basically from the jump, you're just getting smacked by a headwind, which is very, very draining in terms of just like energy levels, and you've got to get into that aero position. So, and if anyone's seen my Instagram, it's kind of like where you're laying down on the bike, hands out in front, and you're just like tucking your head behind your hands, and you've just got to squeeze your core for as long as you can. Basically, you got to make yourself as small as possible, which is hard when you're 6'1" and 80 something kilo.
It makes you quite wobbly, right? Being in that aero. Is it also called TT? Is that what that is?
Yep.
Yeah.
Control position, TT, aero, all the same thing.
There you go. Yeah, so I've heard that that's quite scary. It's quite a scary position to be in, right? Because you've got less points on the bike to kind of get your balance. Is that right?
You're just not as like wide. So like if you think about like your shoulders sort of keeping the bike rigid when you're in like that. It's just very, very wobbly. It is, but only sort of when the wind's howling. Like if you've got a flat bit of road, it's super safe and super controlled.
How do you train for that kind of wind in terms of, like, is there a way that you can do that kind of wind at home in case it gets really windy, or you just kind of try and deal with it on the day?
So it's a good question. Riding into wind and stuff isn't the issue. It is the strength of the gusts, I would say.
Yep.
And it's sort of really like it highlighted a weakness I knew I had. So I'd say the two big weaknesses that were really put on show: my open water swimming in the chop. Open water swimming flat, I'm relatively good. And then with the bike, it is my lack of surginess. So on the bike, we measure everything in power, so watts, like rather than pace. And I liken it like this: if my goal on the bike was to hold 200 watts, and that would give me about 37 kilometers an hour, give or take, but 200 watts just to keep it simple. When you get hit by a headwind, you then have to produce more power to keep the same speed, or sometimes even just keep the bike moving. If like you're riding 37 kilometers an hour, you get hit in the face with a 50 kilometer gust, like you can do the math.
Yeah.
I liken it like this for runners. If you're running, we'll use George's marathon paces just to keep it super easy. If George is running a 5-minute 40 kilometer in the Sydney Marathon, and she gets hit with a headwind, and she's got to run 5-minute pace, that headwind might last for 5 minutes, it might last for 10 minutes, you don't know. And then as soon as it stops, you drop back to 540 pace, and you don't know if you're going to get a 10-second rest, a 3-minute rest, a 2-minute rest, and then it goes again. So the surgy nature of a ride like that is not a strong suit for me. I'm very, very good at like you hold one pace for 180 k's, do not deviate. Like I can do that better than the majority of people. But when it is on, off, big power, back to Ironman, big power, back to Ironman power, short rest, long rest, all up and down, like that is just a weakness of mine that I need to address.
I'm anxious thinking about that. It sounds like the worst kind of intervals. It's just like,
you don't know
when it's going to come.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. You don't know when it's going to come. And then you put in the natural hills that Cairns has. So there's 1,400 meters of elevation. So not only do you finish going through all the headwind, then you go into the climbing and then you repeat it twice. So the climbing's fine. Like I can handle surges on the climb, but like the headwind on top of that really is it's a brutal for me, because I just don't have that upper end of power. It wears me down.
It'd be like you, Matt, just setting an interval session for me, and my watch is just black, and you just don't know. And you're
like me with a megaphone, be like, "Run fast now, Georgia. Slow down." Yeah, and you just don't know. So.
Just like Matt being like, "Okay, go. Yeah. Stop. So go.
But that's legitimately what it is. And at no point can you break that aero position, because as soon as you come out and like you put your hands on the handlebar, your chest turns into a big sail and you just slow down. Yeah. Like there was a couple of guys I was talking to who probably aren't as experienced, or definitely not as experienced riders. They were going like 8 kilometers an hour, like into the headwind. Because they couldn't hold that position. They weren't strong enough to hold that position into that wind.
You'd have to have a solid core, because I mean you're just clutching on for dear life the entire time. Yeah,
you just everything. You're just squeezing everything as hard as you can.
Oh dear. And when you're riding, are you talking to people? Like obviously you can't have music, can you?
No. Headphones are illegal in all Ironman events.
Yeah, so for safety reasons.
Yep.
So are you just in your head the whole time? Or are you chatting to people?
I'd say the first 100 Ks, it's pretty quiet. Normally when you're on the way back, people are a little bit more fatigued. They're not as like locked in. And as you're going past people, you might be like, "You're all right, mate. How you doing?" You have like a fight because you're not allowed to draft or be side by side with people, so you only get a few seconds.
Oh, okay.
So you can't ride 3 bikes across and have a yarn. You just gotta you get 3 or 4 seconds as you're going past. You have a quick chat and then you go.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's
is
not
that
a
just to
lot of
make it like?
conversation.
Is that to make it safe, or so that other people can still overtake, or what's the reasoning behind not being able to sit with like 3 people because you get the air?
So sitting behind someone is called drafting.
Yeah.
So like if they're think about like if they're copping all that headwind, it hits them, it goes wide, and then the person who's sitting behind basically gets a free pull. The reason you can't sit 3 across is like overtaking, safety reasons. You got bikes coming the other way. There is guys, so they're called TA officials, so Triathlon Australia. They're on motorbikes going up and down, making sure no one's cheating, making sure no one's doing anything dodgy. There's the pro race as well that has cars and video cameras and things like that. So there is a lot going on, traffic going both ways. There's 3,000 athletes on the course across 2 different races. There's a lot happening, so you just got to be like single file basically the whole way unless overtaking.
Wow.
And 12 meters in between bikes.
It's just so different to running, a running race where you've got your elites who just like go out early, you don't even see them, and then everyone else is just cruising or running their own race, like whatever. There's so much more you guys have to think about. Like it's crazy the extra stuff because you have to race alongside the elites, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and how many elites are there with their own kind of bike following them? Or is it a group that will have a bike following them?
Yes, they normally have half a dozen motorbikes, and that'll sort of split out across maybe the top 10 or so. If you're sort of out of the top 10, you're not really getting any coverage. And that's for male and female. So there was probably like maybe 40 to 50 pros across male and female. So there's quite a lot. Yeah, quite a lot happening.
Are the bikes checking on the elites, or are they filming for the camera, like for the tele? Oh my god!
So the motorbikes for the pros, number one, they are TA officials, so they are monitoring, make sure no one's cheating. And number 2, video crews. So they said at the start, it was a pro series race. So everything was like live streamed on YouTube. They had helicopter coverage, all of that stuff. So they're filming a lot of stuff, and obviously getting content for Ironman, things like that.
Okay, and how were your splits throughout the ride? I know you said there's obviously a lot of headwind, but did you still ride to a kind of the time you were hoping for?
So again, I came down 15 minutes sort of outside what we thought my target time was, but considering how tough the ride was, really, really happy with that. So I did a 5.5 hour bike split, top 30 for my age group in the bike. And considering one thing we didn't talk about is I made an active decision. We're talking about that aero position.
Yeah.
At my Ironman power, the Ironman power we trained at, it was just a little bit unstable. I wasn't able to squeeze hard enough, my core hard enough to counteract the wind. So I made a decision. I'm going to ride 10% slower, take 10% off my power, and just really focus on like getting as aero as possible and being able to squeeze. And that really paid dividends. So in terms of a tactical decision, really, really happy with that. Like, again, something I wouldn't have been able to do in previous years is make a decision that is against something you have trained for 8 to 12 months. You make it on the spot, and then you've got to stick to it for 5 hours, not knowing if it is the right decision. So in terms of head noise and things for that, like that's a very, very tough thing to do. But like stuck to that plan, changed the plan to make a tactical decision on the day based on the conditions, and paid dividends. So really, really happy with that. In terms of bike split, I break the bike up into 4x45k. My last 45k was my second fastest, which is that's like neg splitting a marathon, and your last 10k being your second fastest 10k.
Yeah. Wow.
Really, really happy with that. It means I was strong all the way through the ride and strongest at the end, which is
it really shows you weren't giving up too. It shows that you're your head was fully in it. You were like, I'm not going to throw in the towel. You really pushed.
100%, just to be like, and that, it's so easy on the bike because it is so long. It is so easy just to let your, not even give up, but just like let your concentration wane. Because it's 5.5 hours of just looking straight out in front. And
I mean,
and
for
pedaling.
someone who's ADHD, that would be really tricky, right?
Yes and no, because...
Or is that something that really helps you, the fact that you don't, have to think too much?
No, it doesn't help. But one of like
you can't just really switch off, right? You're fully the whole entire time. You're not switched off. You're not just cruising. You've really got to focus the entire time. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I guess one of my superpowers in terms of ADHD is hyperfixation. So I'm just like, I'm hyperfixated on the ride. So, the fact that I was just locked in start line to finish line of that bike course, and that last 45 Ks was my second fastest, like pumped, super stoked. That best bike performance, nailed my nutrition. Everything couldn't have asked for anything better. If I had better weather, I probably would have beaten my best predicted bike split as well. So super stoked with everything.
That's good. And I mean, just touching on the ADHD stuff, I didn't just throw Matt under the bus. This is something Matt talks about all the time.
Pretty vocal about it, yeah.
He's very vocal about it. And I know he is fine with me talking about that on the podcast. But it is very interesting that, how your brain works as opposed to how other people might work. I feel like a lot of people would just be like, this is too hard. And I think that comes back to that real athlete mindset. You're locked in and you made that choice to really push.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think this was the first race where I truly experienced like nothing could faze me. Like there was no outside noise, there was no nothing. It was just next job, next job, next job, next job.
Laying those bricks.
Laying those bricks, where in previous years it would be like, do this, and then it would wane, and then it would bring it back, and then you might do 2 or 3 things really good, and then concentration would wane. But this was just gun barrel straight down the middle, tick the boxes, lay the bricks, get to the finish line.
Look at you, just practicing what you preach.
Try to.
Okay, cool. So bike is done. You're into T2. Tell us about how your transition went at T2 into the marathon.
Yeah, best transition I had. Normally when you get off the bike after 180 Ks, you're a little bit sort of, it's like after a long car ride, you're a little bit stiff and a little bit just
wobbly.
Wobbly. I got off and went straight into like a really, really comfortable run. Like, said
maybe
we had
a little too comfortable, I think. I saw those splits.
Oh, well, getting off the bike was like, super easy. Like Jimmy filmed it all and he was like struggling to keep up going into T2.
I'll have to overlay that for you guys on our socials.
That's coming out of T2, the video you're talking about. Oh, that's out of
T2. Okay, sorry. There was a funny video Matt posted.
Yeah. Going into T2, I was straight into a really, really comfortable run, which doesn't happen, but like really, really good. Into T2. I think T2 was like 2 or 3 minutes, so super quick. And then I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to run as hard as... I knew from a really, really hard bike, I didn't have probably like 42 Ks of good running in me. But I was like, I'm just going to run as hard as I can for as long as I can and then deal with the aftermath at the end. So I came out of T2 and... Just for a little bit of context before we get into it, running off the bike is like my superpower. A lot of people struggle with it and like it takes them a little while to find their legs and get up to speed. I go out way too hot every time. It's like, and it feels effortless. Like I feel like I'm almost walking and I look down, I'm like, oh, I'm running 2 minutes quicker per kilometer than my marathon pace. So,
must be nice.
I don't know how I got given that trait, but I did. So I came out of T2 and I was just gone. There's like Georgia was saying, there's a video of Jimmy, the videographer, trying to keep up with me, and I've left him for dead. He's gone, And he's full sprinting, like trying to run with his gimbal. It's hilarious.
I saw it on socials, and it's so funny. You look so pro, because you are. I mean, you're very, I'm not downplaying that. It's just so funny because Matt's running, and it's his poor videographer running after him, trying to keep up. Like, it made me laugh so much. It was so good.
Yeah. So came out of T2, I was crushing. I felt so good. Running felt so good. My first 3Ks were super hot. Probably like running like 4:30 pace average. When the goal's to run 5-minute pace. Which was unusual.
I was just saying, at that point, I was like, is he trying to make up? Because we were looking at your splits like all day. We were kind of keeping track of you and stuff. Just, we wanted to make sure you're doing okay. And Nick and I were like, I'm so confused. Like, I thought he was trying to run a 3:30 marathon. I even had to message Sam to be like, what is he hoping for in this timing? Because I knew you'd gone off the first 3K and it was like 4:30s. And I was like, that's not a 3:30 marathon.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure whether you were trying to like make up time in the marathon. And I was like, what's happening here?
No, it was just, I really struggled to find a rhythm in the run, which is not usually an issue for me. It probably took me 7 or 8Ks to really like settle in. Normally I am historically my first K to K and a half is super hot just because that's how I run. And then I like find that pace. It took me 7 or 8Ks. Some Ks were really, really fast. Some Ks were a little bit slower, like 5:10, 5:15. And then I sort of got into my pace. But no, I wasn't trying to make up time. I just was struggling to find a rhythm.
Right. Okay. And so what does the marathon course look like for an Ironman? Because, generally a marathon course is just one big kind of loop.
Point to point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ironman is a 4-lap 10K course. And Ironman don't say this, but I am convinced that they like strategically plan it so there are dead zones where you're just alone. Because every Ironman course has it. They get all the crowd in this one area, kind of in and around. It's probably 5Ks, sort of in and around the finish line, and then you just go. When you get to the other side of that, it is just nothing. And there is one aid station at the very, very end at the turnaround.
Yeah,
and there is no people.
Why would they do that?
I think it's to mentally break people. I think it's like a little inside joke of Ironman. Yeah,
the staff are like, haha, suckers.
Yeah, legit. I legitimately think because every course has it, and they encourage all the crowd to sit in one spot, and then they don't even talk about the other spot, and they do it for every race. Bustleton has it. Ironman Australia has it. Ironman Cairns has it. Geelong has it. Everyone has it.
It's so like an inside joke for the...
I'm on to your Ironman.
Ironman Australia, they're all sitting in their head office like...
Yeah.
We're going to just make this one area really boring.
Yeah, and just and where does everyone walk and where does everyone have the demons in that quiet area? So...
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's a 10K loop, I guess.
Yep.
Are you running... Because you're running with the elites as well, so it'd be quite busy, surely. Because you're all lapping each other. Like with a marathon, you might pass the elites once because you're into your marathon and they're finishing at 2 hours.
Yeah.
Because it's a loop, you'd have to pass them a few times, right?
Yeah, it's not too bad. So because the bike is a real differentiation mark. Just for context, when I was finishing my marathon, people were still coming in on the bike thick and fast. There was still a lot of people coming in.
Yeah.
And for the elites, they do their bike split an hour 15 quicker than me. So they're probably halfway through their marathon, getting close to halfway through by the time I was getting off my bike. So there are a lot of people on course, but they're finishing just as quick as they're coming in. Because also on the marathon, all the slower people, they're deep in the hurt locker. They're walking. They're just sort of shuffling along. They're not really getting in the way, so to speak. Not that they're getting in the way, but you know what I mean. It's not everyone is running single file or anything. So yeah, people are finishing just as quick as they're coming because the bike is such a differentiator. I think the bike cutoff is like 10 hours or something. So there's a lot of time.
Okay. Wow. That's a long time. Cool. So you're in the marathon. Obviously the first bit's a bit tricky. How did the rest of it go?
Really, really well. Like, I don't know if this is an experience thing or if this was just a fitness thing, but it felt like that first 7 or 8 Ks till I found my rhythm I was like, oh, this might turn into a bit of a slog. And then found my rhythm and it just went 10, 20, 30. Like, I was at 30 Ks before I knew it, which was like really good. Like, normally that
ideal.
Ironman marathon is just... It's a tough day. Like, it's hot, it's dry, you're covered in salt. Everything is just... It's just a long day, right? Like, and you got to run a marathon at the end of it. Like, but made it to 30 Ks and like felt pretty good. I knew at that point like I wasn't running a 3:30 or I might have snuck a 3:45 if I like had really put my nose to the grindstone. But
yeah,
the bike really showed my weakness and that surginess really drains your running legs. So probably by about kilometer 30, I was like, oh, I'm hurting now.
Yeah.
Held on okay. There was definitely some run walking by this point, by 30 Ks. And then by 35, caught a tiny second win for maybe a couple of Ks. And then 37 to 39 was a long time. Like that 2K was, I distinctly remember this. I was running past the hospital and I was like, okay, I'm going to run for 500 meters. I'm going to run into the hospital. Not that I needed the hospital, just that was the landmark.
And I'm going to the hospital.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm going to run for 500 meters and then I'm going to walk for 200 meters.
Yeah.
And I ran for what felt like forever. And I had a sip of my Powerade. I was at 36.4 when I said I'm going to run for 500 meters.
Yep.
Sip of my Powerade. Felt like I was running forever. Looked down. I was at 36.6.
Everyone's
I
worst
swear
nightmare.
I just ran for 3 minutes. Like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, so anyway, got to kilometer 39. And Georgia, I'd like you to know that you were in my thoughts at this point.
Oh no, why?
Because I looked down at my watch and I was like, oh, I can't remember exactly how long I had. I might have had like 17 minutes or something. And I was like, I could run a sub 4 hour marathon. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to beat Georgia just to stick it to her. So...
No, you didn't. Stop it.
So the last 3Ks, I just was like, you'll see, like my last 3Ks are actually pretty good. Yeah.
For context, my best marathon time is 4 hours and 39 seconds. Strava says otherwise, but we won't get into that. No, stop it.
So so we actually have a very similar story. My Strava marathon time is like 3 hours 59 minutes and 40 something seconds, but my official Ironman time was 4 hours and 10 seconds on the marathon.
Stuff you fully like run an Ironman, you're like, you know what, I'm still gonna beat Georgia. Sucked in.
That's exactly what I did. You
beat me by like 30 seconds. I hate you.
Yeah, so very happy with that.
I'm sure you are.
Another little win. Yeah.
The competitiveness in you is like, that's it. I'm going to stick it to Georgia. This is going to be great for the podcast.
Yeah, I actually had that thought process. Oh, this would be so funny on the podcast when I go to her. I'm like, just so you know, I deliberately ran those last 3Ks hard so I could beat you.
Oh, God, I can't wait to see the comments from people about this. Don't worry, it's just going to push me harder. But also, I didn't run an Ironman before that. So.
Yeah, it should motivate you.
It'll motivate me. Oh, my God, that's so funny. At least I helped you in some way on the course.
Yeah, yep, you did. Definitely did.
The competitiveness. I love it. Okay, so you came in at 4 hours.
Yep.
Oh, I actually had someone the other day message me on socials being like, "Oh, I feel you with the sub 4 thing." But she said she came in and her official time was 4 hours on the dot. Like
Oh,
4:00:00, and I was like, "Oh my
oh,
God, I will not complain about my time. That sucks."
oh,
Can you
brutal,
imagine? 1 second. I'm like,
brutal.
look, 39 seconds, like, whatever. But
Yeah, yeah,
that's like 1 second. Oh,
yeah, yeah.
my worst nightmare.
Horrendous.
So Nick and I were sitting on the couch watching the live feed, and we were like, "Oh, Matt should be coming in anytime soon." And then we filmed your finish, and you did that cute little jump at the end. You're like, woohoo! How are you feeling coming into the finish?
Uh, Ironman finishes are super special. Like that red carpet
Yeah,
is just it's such a unique experience. Like I've done a lot of endurance events, a lot of different finishes, a lot of things that some people might say are harder than Ironman, not as hard as Ironman. But the
yeah,
finish line at Ironman is just, it's why we do it. Like that red carpet feeling, the crowd's lined up, the music's pumping. Pete Murray, who's like the famous MC for Ironman,
yeah.
he like gives you a mad hype up as you run down.
Yeah, because
Um,
I think it's different to like running a marathon where there's like 15, 20 people running across at the same
yeah,
time. It's kind of one by one is coming down that
yeah.
red
By that
carpet.
point, it's pretty single file. Like
Yeah.
there's every once in a while there'll be three or four people all coming in together, but also everyone is pretty good. And it's Ironman. I think Ironman should tell people this, but they don't. It's more of an athlete thing. They're like, once you get on the red carpet, just stop. If there's multiple people, let one person go. Let them have their moment, get their photos and stuff, and then the next person goes. So that everyone's pretty good at like giving everyone their space. So you do get that. It's my moment
Did you
finish.
see? I'm going to ask you this question because this is a bit controversial on social media this week. Sorry to stop you from your
You're right.
beautiful red carpet finish. Did you see that video of that girl like ballet leaping down the red carpet of an Ironman?
No.
I'm surprised you didn't see this. It's been all over my socials, maybe because I've been, doing research for your race and stuff. But there was two people running down a red carpet of an Ironman. It was a full Ironman as far as I could tell. There's a guy kind of in the right hand side, and then in front is this chick. I shit you not, she's doing like ballet leaps, like leaping down the red carpet in front of this guy. And so the kind of the thing on socials was like, I mean, go her. She's done an Ironman and she's finishing incredibly strong, like incredibly strong. She's dancing down the red carpet. But then there's this poor guy behind her who, for all we know, it's his first Ironman, and she has just destroyed any kind of finish line photo for him because she was
Yeah,
taking
yeah.
up the entire red carpet. And so I guess this is that kind of something that people are really conscious of is like, look, this is my moment, but it's also someone else's moment, because clearly I feel like she didn't even give a shit.
I would if it's first timers, like it's rough because like you don't really know what's going on. Like there's no
Yeah.
brief in like this is what the finish line's like. This is like etiquette, so to speak. It is more a like you get it through experience. So if it was her first time and she was just going crazy because she was finishing an Ironman, like there is a bit of
Like
I,
leniency?
I get it. Like
Okay.
I understand you just not being aware of anything else going on because you were just so overcome with emotion. Like it
Okay.
is such, like I said, it is such a unique experience running down that red carpet. Like it just, you can feel it just like emotion just like bubbling up inside of you. Like you can just like, you feel your heart just start racing. Like it is just, it is such a unique experience. So
Emotional for sure.
yeah, emotional. You are obviously borderline delirious of what's gone on through the day. Like you've just completed 226 something kilometers. So like I would say it's tough to be aware of what is going on. Like on my first one, like everyone knows you ring the bell on your first Ironman. Like that's like
Yeah.
a Ironman tradition. I didn't ring the bell. I just ran
You were
past it.
just
I
so
didn't even know. I
focused.
didn't even see it. I was just like, I was just focused on that finish line. So,
I'm sad for you
um,
didn't get to ring the bell because I feel
no,
like
it's
that's
fine.
such a special tradition.
Yeah, but like I just that's a perfect example of like just no idea. Like I was just gone. Like I was just like finished. You got to finish. So like
Yeah.
um I can understand it from a multitude of different aspects, but
Okay.
yeah,
Interesting,
I'd
because
have
like
to
I
see the
wouldn't have.
video.
Yeah, I wouldn't have even thought that, I guess, there'd be any kind of leniency. I was a bit like, oh, it's a bit rude. But then I guess, yeah, I mean, if it was her first Ironman, I don't think it was her first Ironman. But she was finishing really strong and she was just dancing down the red carpet. But it was just a bit like just cutting off other athletes from having their moment as well.
Yeah. I mean,
which is a bit brutal.
I don't know if this was it probably wasn't an Australian one. I feel like I would have seen it if it was Australian.
No.
But Ironman Australia or Ironman Oceania is pretty good at being like, get out of the fucking way, like down the carpet.
So Aussie.
Yeah, like just you get to the right as quick as possible and like get into recovery.
Yeah. Yeah, because as
don't
you came across the finish line, I saw you like not passed out, but you got to the ground
collapsed,
and
legs
they
just stopped
picked
working.
you up pretty quickly. They were like, "All right, come on."
Yeah. Or there's like 30 medics just kicking around. Like if something goes wrong, that you're like swarmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And so on training camp, you talked about the recovery area a little bit. Tell us about that. I mean, marathons have kind of recovery areas, but not really. But you guys get all this really cool stuff.
Yeah. So we've got obviously medic tents with IVs. We've got massage tents. We've got basically an all-you-can-eat buffet with all sorts of different food. Big like soft drink fridges, ice cream, pizza, chips.
I mean, that's what your
pumpkin soup for some
$1,500 is
reason,
going
but-
for.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, you can just hang out in there as long as you like and eat as much as you like, and yeah.
Okay, what was the first thing you had? What's the food or drink of choice?
Strawberry ice cream.
Strawberry ice cream. Cute.
Strawberry ice cream. Yep. Home brand, Woolworths brand, whatever you want to call it, just
Yeah.
filthy pink strawberry ice cream. Yeah.
Nice. Very
Yeah.
good. Oh, cool. And then, so then what happened? You're obviously in recovery, and then did you catch up with everyone, or what did you do after?
Yeah, so pretty fortunate that I was able to get media passes, which gave Sam and Jimmy, they were allowed to come into recovery and film stuff.
Yep.
Normally, I don't get to spend a lot of time in recovery because I just want to see Sam. So
Yeah.
I just kind of get my shit together, and like she has to wait with everyone else. But because she was able to come in, we just hung out there for a while. And we had Lauren, sports dietitian Lauren, who's coming on the pod next week.
Yeah.
She was racing as well. So after I had sort of got my bearings and things and started feeling like a human again, we sort of looked it up, and she was about 45 minutes away. So we're like, oh, we'll just hang out here, have some dinner, and wait for her to finish. And yeah, caught up with Lauren, filmed some post-race content and things, and yeah, that was pretty much it.
Amazing. So how, I guess, you've done the whole race, all of that, you're in recovery. Looking back at it now, like, what are your kind of thoughts on the whole day?
Yeah. Number one, obviously, people who were following for the sub 10 hour Ironman, using the power of hindsight, I think even if I had really, really good weather conditions, I probably wouldn't have broken 10 on that day based on the performance I put out. I think 10:15 to 10:30 is probably a more accurate time. You never know. I might have pulled something out and, had a really, really good bike split or a really good run or something. But like, I think, gun to me head, 10:15 to 10:30 is pretty accurate.
Okay.
That being said, it was my best Ironman performance to date. Everything from T1 to the finish line, I PR'd by every metric you can possibly measure. And I like to measure everything. My big goal, and I said this over and over and over again, and I know some people probably don't, they miss some of the story because of it is the sub 10 hour Ironman. That is the branding, that is the marketing, that is the series, if you will, whatever you want to call it. But I always said the whole time, I was like, my goal was to race at hard start line to finish line, no matter what happened. Don't check out mentally. Race, stay in the fight. And I did that. And I am so incredibly proud of that aspect, that I stayed in the fight for 226, whatever it is, kilometers. And I didn't give up. I didn't lose concentration. I didn't lose focus. I stuck to the plan. I executed to the best of my ability, and I did my absolute best. And like I said in an Instagram post the night before, I said I can't promise the time, but I can promise I'll leave it all out on the course, and I had nothing left to give. So it's a really, really cool experience when you and only you know it, like deep down inside, where you I had nothing left to give. I gave it absolutely everything, and like I did that, and there's not upset and there's no disappointment. Like I fucking crushed it, and I went unreal. So yeah, super proud of myself and very happy.
You should be. That is, and it's so nice to hear, and you should be so proud, and everyone could tell that you gave it everything, and you pushed yourself to the absolute limit, and you trained really hard, and you did all the right things. And to hear you be like, you know what, I'm still really proud of myself. I'm not disappointed in myself because I didn't give up. I did everything I possibly could. So many people were just messaging me being like, Matt, oh my God, what an incredible performance. You must be like, everyone must be so proud of him. And I think it's even nice for people to be telling me that, and to not be like, oh, how terrible, he didn't get his goal. Like, not one person would even think that. Everyone would be like, wow, what a performance. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah, I did get a few messages, people saying, oh, you must be gutted, you must be upset. But I think they were more trying to be sympathetic to me, thinking how I would feel.
Yeah.
So I definitely, but definitely not gutted, definitely not upset. Like, obviously, there is a small 1% of me that was like, because I truly believed going into that race, like that was the sub 10 race, like I'd done everything right. Like there is that part of me and that competitive part of me that was like naturally a bit let down, because that was the day I trained for a year. But it's also the thing. It's the thing I hate about Ironman the most, is that there is no next Saturday. Like I can't, or next Sunday. I can't just get my body right and race again in 2 weeks, a month, whatever. I've got to wait 6 months. So
yeah, it's a big toll on your body to be able to do an Ironman, and then
for sure,
as you said, there's no next Sunday. You can't just try again. It's too much.
It's not like if you didn't get sub 4 at Sydney, you could just, if theoretically, if you could get a place at Melbourne, like you could just piggyback that fitness and go and do it.
Yeah.
Like,
there is a bit of a backup.
There's options. But but like for me, like it's nothing until December, and you've got to go back and you got to go back to do training 20 hours a week for 5 months, which is, that's really, really tough, and that's upsetting naturally, but also like, I have nothing to be upset about. That's just a vanity metric. So it's just part of the process.
Yeah. So back into training, what's happening in your life now that it's over per se?
Yeah. So I'm going into probably a pretty big business season. We spoke about this a lot. Break my life up into seasons. Just finished an Ironman season. The next 3 months will be really, really heavy, focused on work. Still a lot of training, but like work will now take priority over training. Yeah. That being said, we've got a pretty full on 6 months. I've got 2 ultra marathons. I've got an Ironman 70.3. I have got 3 different training camps in 3 different states. And then I've got Ironman Western Australia in December. So that's what the next 6 months looks like.
That's a big 6 months, Matt.
Yeah. So
plus, I mean, all of your athletes will be coming into Sydney Marathon. They're coming into Melbourne Marathon.
Yeah. Sydney Marathon's our biggest event of the year. That's why, like, pretty much Sydney Marathon will end the quote-unquote business season. And then after I get all of you guys through Sydney, obviously we're doing a whole bunch of events in Sydney as well. Like we've got Beyond the Finish Line Run Club, but I'll be doing all of like the performance project stuff to make sure all of my Sydney guys are ready and raring and fight and fit. So anything we can do for them, we will do. We're going to host a whole bunch of like long run stuff and a whole bunch of different things we're working on. Anyway, but once we get everyone through Sydney, end of August, I'll have September, October, November to get super, super fit for Ironman Western Australia.
How good. And just touching on that, don't forget, guys, we do have the Beyond the Finish Line Run Club on this Sunday. It is the 22nd, I want to say, is the Sunday.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, down in Centennial Parklands at my favourite place to run. We will be starting at the Greenhouse Cafe, which is the one down the bottom of the park at 8 a.m. Do your long run before if you want to. I will be doing my long run beforehand and then finishing off with a 5K run around Centennial with everyone. And then afterwards we can all get a coffee and hang out, and you can ask us questions if you want, or give us things you want us to talk about on the pod. So yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited for Sunday. It'll be nice to meet a few of you guys.
Yeah, it'd be cool. And like, I think people might be a little bit hesitant for the first one because they're not sure like how many people are going to come or like what it's going to be like. But it's just, there's no pressure. It's just like we're just going to have fun. It's a super chill run. Like we will run at whatever pace the group dictates. Like there is no like, hey, it is 6-minute pace or 5-minute pace or whatever. It is just like, cool, we've got a whole bunch of runners. Like we're just going to cruise around, have a yarn, get a coffee. I'm going to have about 7 almond croissants and...
Yeah, it's not going to be like one of my past run clubs where there's like 150 people turn up. We really wanted to keep this nice and small so that, you know, we had a chance to all chat and we can all run together. And sometimes...
Yeah, I think that's the biggest one is like we wanted people to be able to feel like they could ask questions and have a chat and not feel like they're taking away from other people. So we wanted to keep it pretty personal.
Exactly. And that's what I sometimes struggle with the bigger run clubs. As much as I absolutely love them and I get so much excitement out of them, it is really hard to get around to everyone and chat to people and run with people.
For sure.
So this was really much, we did it on Eventbrite to make sure that we could control the amount of people who were coming, just to keep an eye on it. It's a free ticket. But we're keeping it nice and intimate. We made sure there weren't too many tickets available just so that, you know, we could all run together and run as a team.
Yep, perfect.
Perfect.
Any questions, Georgia? Do we have any fan questions this week?
Any fan questions? How funny. I actually did get one yesterday from a lovely follower. She jumped in on my DMs and just said, you know, she really loves the podcast, which I love hearing. Please don't ever stop saying that because it, you know, it makes us feel
do
as
what
though
we do. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. It's kind of like if you weren't hearing anything, you're kind of like, what am I doing? Is this, you know, worth it? But of course it is. So Vanessa asked me, she said, on a recent episode, you mentioned a 70-kilometer training week for a marathon block. What would a breakdown of that volume be? And so she is talking about my week. I think I spoke about that kind of a normal week for me in a training block was about 70 Ks. I guess, Matt, as my coach, what does that volume look like for me?
Yeah, so I'd say anywhere from 60 to 80 Ks is like a pretty stock standard week. 60 Ks when we're sort of just getting back into running, and 80 Ks to 90 Ks when we're starting to peak. Right now for Georgia in like a current sort of training block, easy run is anywhere from 9 to 12 Ks on a Monday. Then we will do an interval run, which will be anywhere from sort of 10 to 12 Ks, just depending. Third run of the week, it depends on where we are in the block, but that could be either another tempo session or an interval session or an easy session, one of the three, but again, about 10 to 12 Ks. And then long run is anywhere from sort of 25 to 30 Ks with different sort of, it could either be all aerobics of zone 2 or it could chuck in some marathon pace intervals depending, again, where we are in the training block and what we're trying to achieve. So pretty stock standard, 3 10 to 12K runs with varying intensity, and then a long run, which again varies in intensity depending on where we are in the block.
Yeah, and I guess for context, you know, I'm 11 weeks or a bit less than 11 weeks out now. Last week I did 63 or 64 kilometers, and yeah, as Matt said, that was broken up into 3 midweek runs and then my 25-kilometer long run on the weekend that had I think 5K at the end that was marathon pace. So yeah, every week is different. Matt always programs something fun in there. There was a really fun tempo session, which I hadn't done a tempo session in a while, or Matt had programmed it and I hadn't been able to do it because of my hip. But yeah, back to feeling pretty good. So it's nice to get the volume in.
Yeah, I would say if you're like, don't go out and run a 70k week for the sake of running a 70k week.
No.
Like make sure you build up to it. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And she also asked how we carry our gels for the marathon, which is an interesting question because for someone who hasn't run in a race before, that would be a bit daunting. Like, where do you carry all, for me, I carry 8-ish gels with me on the day. So for me, I just chuck a couple in my shorts. On one side, I'll put my plain gels. On the other side, I put my caffeinated gels, and then I'll put any spares in my running belt so that they're easily accessible. Do you just put them in your pocket, Matt? What do you do?
Yeah, I'll normally only take a couple of gels, and then I will rely on aid stations for the rest. Grant, if I have done my research and know what's on course. But yeah, I will probably take enough for the first 10Ks and then just rely on course. So I'm either a pocket guy or I'll just hold them in my hand.
Okay. So there's another question here from a follower, Krista. She messaged us on Beyond the Finish Line Instagram. And usually I don't answer the questions on Beyond the Finish Line just because they're generally more coach-based questions. So Matt will jump in. But Matt was up at Ironman and I was like, I'm going to give it a crack. So I did. So Krista asked us a very interesting question about Garmin and just whether or not using a VO2 max on your Garmin is worth tracking, whether or not you're improving. But her question was basically asking, how do they categorize, like how do they work out what your VO2 max is compared to like going and doing a VO2 max test? Yeah.
So we spoke about this in the other one where it's just an algorithm. It's a combination of like a multitude of different things, including heart rate, resting heart rate at pace, all of those sorts of things where they can predict like relatively close, like within a few percent. But if you're wanting to improve VO2, like do specific go do a VO2 test and then do a VO2 training block, like tracking VO2 on your Garmin as a fitness indicator is it's not really relevant. Like, yes, if it's going up, chances are you are getting fitter, but your chances are you're just also training more and things like that. So there are way better indicators like resting heart rate, HRV, heart rate at pace, perceived effort. Like, they're all significantly better trackers and indicators of fitness than VO2.
Yeah, and look, I know I went and just did a VO2 max test that was gifted to me by the team at Power Potential. So they said to me, like, if you want to come and do it, you can. And I'd always been curious as to what mine was. That wasn't a thing that I had to do for, Matt to know anything about my training. It was purely just to have the data, just for fun. So, I'm going to go back and do another one to do a proper test. But, you don't actually have to rely on that to work out whether or not you're improving in your running or anything like that.
Yeah, like so many better. Every metric I just mentioned before is significantly better for just like tracking fitness. And I'd also encourage anyone who like does look at that, be like, actually think about what you're trying to achieve. So last week we spoke about double run days and how like, yes, they are a tool in the tool belt, but like think about what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what is the outcome you want, and is that the right tool for the job?
Yeah.
Thinking of VO2 is like, if you're trying to improve your 5K or your 10K, awesome. Like a big VO2, really, really great. If you're trying to improve your marathon time, like there are way more important levers we can pull. Like, yes, VO2 is something that we want to improve, but it is not the driving factor. So just really think about what you're trying to achieve with that. And if you want to improve your VO2, awesome. Test it. 12-week training block, lots of VO2 work, lots of really, really easy work, retest, awesome. If you are trying to improve your marathon time or your half marathon time, you're better off doing marathon-specific work at a lower heart rate.
Okay, amazing. Thank you. That's a really good answer. I have one more question here, but I'm not going to say who it's from because they didn't mention whether or not they wanted it on the pod, and it's okay. It's not a sensitive topic at all, but it was more of a personal question. But I think it's an interesting question because it is something that I have talked about before on the pod and stuff that, I'm sure a lot of people deal with. So this person has said, I'm just under 100 kilos and I want to basically improve my time when I'm running. I know you've spoken a lot about on the pod that you don't want athletes losing weight while in a half or a full marathon training block. Is that still the case when you have a lot of surplus fat? So is it important to lose weight if, you know, you have more fat on your body, or if you've got less and then it becomes you're actually too like underweight?
Yeah, so I think it's really, really important to define the difference there. Weight and body fat are two very, very different things. So I know we sort of use it as like a collective saying, like, I want to lose weight, but what we really mean is we want to lose body fat. I would say if you are 100 kilo and if you believe you have significant body fat to lose, yes, it will be beneficial for you to lose body fat because you will move less weight, less pressure on your joints, all of those things. So yes, there is a benefit. However, losing weight or losing body fat during being in a calorie deficit during an endurance block is very, very dangerous. It's like you shouldn't just restrict calories and train really, really hard. Like there's a lot of things that can go wrong, from REDs to stress fractures to ligament damage to just low mood and poor mental health, like all of the hormone dips. There are a lot of different things to consider. What I would encourage anyone to do if they think they have excess body fat to lose is track your calories and just create a baseline. Do not change the way you eat. Do not change the way you train, and just track your weight, and just do that for 1 week and just look at the fluctuations. Look at roughly how many calories you eat, roughly what your weight is, roughly how many hours a week you train. You can track your steps and your water and things like that if you want to, but those are the ones with the main metrics. And then just make a small tweak. Be like, okay, I am going to add 1 extra run, or I'm going to add a walk, or I'm going to add a bike ride or a strength session, whatever. And then just do that 1 change and see what happens. Do not go super strong calorie deficit, add 4 more training sessions, add a HIIT session, because you are just going to buckle yourself and you'll get injured. And then when you're injured and you can't exercise, weight goes on really, really quickly. Body fat grows really, really quickly. So it is a delicate situation. It's probably something we could talk about with Lauren next week.
Yeah, I was going to say that
good question for her.
This might be a really great question for Lauren and her insight, but it is very interesting also to hear your point of view on this.
Yeah, because I went through this. I lost, for this Ironman, our goal was to take about 8 to 9 kilos off me. And we spent the best part of 10 months to get 8 kilos off. And we had to do it very, very, very methodically. Like, it was because my training volume was so high, I could not afford to be in, and we got it wrong a couple of times. I could not afford to be in a calorie deficit, because if the calorie deficit was too strong, I wasn't able to train the next day. And there was a couple of times where we got it wrong, where this is the calories for this weekend, for this key session, and got through it, and I was a zombie. I wasn't able to perform the way I wanted to. So, and we actually think, we're not 100% sure, but potentially, when I got that calf injury, that could have been from trying to just squeeze that last little bit of extra calories out of my diet. We flirted right on the edge, and we were still super, super safe. In terms of how the checkpoints, what we tracked, all those metrics. So I would say, yes, losing body fat is good if you have excess body fat to lose, but do not, I'd really encourage you to go speak to a sports dietitian and just get a game plan. You do not have to be as methodical as I was, but if you have excess body fat, it will come off. But you should definitely speak to a sports dietitian or a nutrition expert in terms of how to do it safely.
Okay, amazing. Hopefully that helps our listener, answers their question. That's all the questions we have for today, guys. Any last minute thoughts, Matt?
No, All good. I think I got everything off my chest, which was great.
It was a great recap. I'm going to say I really enjoyed listening to that. It's always interesting to
hopefully
hear.
people enjoy it.
Yeah, I think so. I think they will. As always, guys, please jump across to Spotify and follow, download our episodes. That means that when we do publish an episode, it pops up in your feed, so you see it straight away and you can listen to it for your long run. Make sure you jump across to Instagram and follow us at beyondthefinishline_pod. We will be letting you know there as well when we are posting new episodes. And of course, follow us over on YouTube. We have stepped up our lighting, our camera, everything. So hopefully YouTube is way better for you guys. But yeah, that's everything from me. Matt, any last words?
Hey, Root.
Bye.